Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the latest at night I've ever filmed a video, by far, 11:45 p.m. here in Wisco. But I am just so excited after watching that draft, and I don't think that there's any way that I'm gonna get to sleep anytime soon. So I figure, hey, if I'm gonna be awake for this time, might as well be productive and get some videos done. And with the draft just ending, I'm going to have a lot to talk about. Focus of this video is the team that had the first overall pick in the Minnesota Timberwolves, and that obviously was Anthony Edwards, the wing from Georgia. However, before I talk too much about the Wolves, I just want to remind you to leave a like and subscribe. Been appreciating all of the support I've gotten lately. There's going to be loads of draft content coming out, talking about what I think each team did. Going to be a lot of stuff talking about free agency and trades as those continue to pick up as we enter the transaction period. And really, overall, I'm just excited to talk about some basketball. You'll enjoy being here because I talk about basketball all the time, and I will enjoy the sport, so it helps both of us. So go ahead and subscribe. Without further ado, let's talk about the Timberwolves. And this isn't what I would have done if I were them. I really like LaMelo Ball. I think that there's a chance that he becomes a top 15 player in the league, and because of that upside, I think he should have gone with the number one overall pick. I do understand it, though, taking Anthony Edwards because they feel that he's a better fit alongside D'Angelo Russell, but I just think that you could have figured it out with LaMelo, and he has a higher enough ceiling than Edwards does, and really a higher floor than Edwards as well. That would have made me want to take LaMelo. I think that what they ended up doing is decent, but like I said, not my ideal outcome for this team. Later on in the draft, they traded back with the 17th pick. They got the 25th pick and the 28th pick from the Oklahoma City Thunder, as the Thunder wanted to trade up to draft Alexei Pokusevski, and with those spots, they proceeded to give up that 25th pick as well as the 33rd pick to trade back up with the Knicks to draft Leandro Bolmaro, who is a wing from originally Argentina, but he played for Barcelona in the EuroLeague this past at least one season, maybe a couple of years. But I don't get it as much with Bolmaro. I don't really think they needed to trade up to draft him, but he is a guy that has some potential to become a ball handling wing, and like we saw with Deni Avdija going in the top 10 today, that's a skill that NBA teams really value, and so if he can continue to develop, could be a very intriguing piece for them moving forward. They also drafted Jaden McDaniels with the 28th pick as a guy that I thought had a chance to creep into the top 20 due to the potential upside a lot of teams saw him having. He's got a shot to become a really good defensive wing, which is the kind of player this team should be looking to surround their core of D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, and Karl-Anthony Towns with. So in that way, I think that Jaden's a really nice fit for them. The question is if he can ever become the player that it seems like he has the potential to be. I haven't seen enough from him during his time at Washington to believe that can happen, and that's why I had him all the way down at 40 on my big board. But it's a home run swing, and you have to admire a team for taking that shot. In addition to getting the 25th and 28th pick in their trade down with the Thunder, they also picked up Ricky Rubio, who is going to be one of the better backup point guards for this upcoming season, backing up D'Angelo Russell, obviously. Rubio can do a lot of what LaMelo Ball could have done, but he's obviously much older, is on a much different developmental cycle, as he's probably on his way down while LaMelo is clearly on his way up. And I don't even know why I'm comparing Ricky Rubio to LaMelo Ball, but I do think that Ricky is going to provide a lot of really nice playmaking and ball handling, floor general type stuff for them, either off the bench or if they want to start Anthony Edwards at the 3 and D'Angelo Russell at the 2, then out of the starting lineup from the point guard spot. He's probably going to play 24 minutes a night for them off the bench, and I could see him being in contention for the 6th Man of the Year award. He obviously doesn't score as much as the usual competitors for that particular award, but his ability as a playmaker is really going to help this team and make them better, and I think that it was one of the better pickups we saw tonight on draft night. This team has a really, really good roster. Well, actually, no. they have a really top-heavy roster. I think that the core of D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, and Karl Anthony Towns has potential to be a really, really nice core. I've said with Anthony Edwards, he has a shot to become an all-star. I just don't think he has a shot to be an all-NBA type guy like I do think LaMelo has. But if he can reach that all-star potential, that's three all-star level players, three top 35 to 40 players in the NBA. And when you have those kind of guys at the top of your roster, you're going to be a competitor to be in the playoffs. After that, it starts to fall off a little bit, but they did add a competent role player in Ricky Rubio, who I think can really help them as a veteran leader, and obviously brings a lot of production to the court. They have some young wings that, if they end up working out, have a chance to make this team quite a bit better with some defensive potential as well as shooting potential. Guys like Josh Okogie, Jarrett Culver, and Jaden McDaniels. If they can develop and continue to improve, then that fills up the three spot for this team moving forward. I would definitely expect one of those three. You can also throw Leandro Bolmaro into that mix, but since Bolmaro is overseas for this upcoming season, he already has a contract with Barcelona. I don't really think that he'll be on the roster for this season. So you're most likely looking at a combination of Okogie, Culver, and McDaniels at the three spot. And I would probably bet on one of those three guys figuring it out and ending up being a solid option at some point in the future. I don't think this team is ready to make the playoffs this season, but I do think at some point they're going to continue to improve. We're going to see Karl Anthony Towns continue to improve. The Ricky Rubio acquisition really gets me excited, and if he can get Karl to work harder on the defensive end and just be a really good example for him, I think that there's a chance we see Karl Towns make an All-NBA team again next season. If D'Angelo Russell can continue to develop his game, become a better shooter, become a better playmaker, and once again give better defense, better effort on the defensive end of the floor, that's where he can become a top 30 to 35 player in the NBA and really make an impact on a playoff team. And finally, if Anthony Edwards can reach that potential as a wing scorer who can get to the rim effortlessly and also has a lot of interesting moves such as a sidestep and a step back in order to get space for his three-point jumper, this team really, really has a lot of potential now. They have to figure it out in between, as having guys like Josh Okogie and James Johnson in your starting lineup isn't going to get it done in the Western Conference. And even with the Ricky Rubio trade, I still think this is probably a team that's going to be in the bottom 3 or 4 in the West. But there obviously is potential, and they have an outline of what they want to look like moving forward, and I think that that's really, really important. For outgoing free agents, we have Evan Turner, Juan Hernan-Gomez, Malik Beasley, and Jordan McLaughlin. Turner isn't of much importance. He could maybe be a guy coming back on the veteran minimum. Hernan-Gomez is an interesting guy who can play the 4 and space the floor for you a little bit. I certainly think that they will extend the qualifying offer to him. I think it's about $5 million, and try to keep him around to potentially fill in that spot at the 4 that they need to fill. A stretch 4 could be something that could work alongside Karl Towns, although I would like to see a guy who plays some stronger defense than Hernan-Gomez does. Malik Beasley is an accused felon, so I have no idea what's going to happen with that situation. And Jordan McLaughlin's role seems to be filled a little bit by Ricky Rubio. If he were to come back, he would be their third point guard. But I do think that he was a solid player. His cap hold, if he signs the qualifying offer, is going to be pretty cheap. So I think they will extend it to him. The question then is if another team has enough interest to try to lure him away from the Timberwolves. And I do think that that's potentially within the realm of outcomes, because he really proved himself to be a solid option off the bench at the point guard spot. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets an offer in the $5 million range, maybe a second season with a team option tacked on there. And they don't need him as badly as they did before now that they have a good option coming off the bench at the guard position and Ricky Rubio. Offensively, I think that this could be really interesting with Anthony Edwards. He's probably not going to get as many isolations as he would have if he would have gone to a team like Charlotte, so that's probably a good thing because he was not a super efficient isolation scorer. maybe he can develop some pick and roll chemistry with Karl Anthony Towns, and if he does, that could be super nice for him because he needs to improve his playmaking. And obviously, having a guy like Karl Towns that you can dish the ball off to is about as good as it gets in the NBA. He also will space the floor pretty well for a guy like Karl Towns. When that D'Angelo Russell, Karl Anthony Towns pick and roll is in action, it's super dangerous. And finally, they add a guy who hopefully can shoot the ball competently at the NBA level in Anthony Edwards. And if he can, he's going to do wonders for the spacing for this team. I would have rather seen a guy like LaMelo just due to that upside, but overall, I do think that the Timberwolves did a solid job in this draft. If I were giving them a grade, I would probably say something along the lines of a B plus. And this team has a chance to maybe not contend for the playoffs, but at least be close to contending, if that makes sense. And for the future, I definitely see where they're going, and I would probably bet on them making the playoffs within 3 years. Not having their first round pick next year hurts, but they have started to acquire good young players that could develop into guys that could be really useful to their roster. And as of now, I would say the development of Jarrett Culver, Jaden McDaniels, and Leandro Bolmaro will determine whether this team is a contender to be a top 4 seed in the Western Conference at some point, or if they're just a fringe playoff team for a long time, which is obviously not a result that you want if you are a Timberwolves fan. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Did the Timberwolves make the right choice in drafting Anthony Edwards? Did they make the right choice in trading down with the Thunder? That's actually a move I really do like. As I've said, getting Rubio, getting McDaniels, and getting Bolmaro is a really good result for them there. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I hope that you did, because I am going to be cranking out a lot of videos like this talking about each individual team and my thoughts on what they did in the draft, as well as what their roster is going to look like moving forward. I think that's it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all again very soon.